Well, we're back and live and awkward, like I like it. It's Thursday, October 17th, and I'm with my friend Michael Luchies. And we call this, what, workshopping funny. Um, and sometimes what we talk about is funny, and sometimes we just go in entirely different directions. But it's always a good chat with you, buddy. So
Same.
I already asked you how you were doing. So why don't we just jump right into, oh, you got a cat there, actually. Who's
I
that?
do. Good old Nacho, my trash can kitty. She was found in an industrial dumpster. I almost named her Garbage, but I went with Nacho instead. So Garbage is her middle name.
Right on. My brain just always wants to make a joke for everything when we meet for these. I'm like nachos, garbage, you know. Like, no, I'm reaching too far.
Well, yeah, I was looking over my stand-up notes, and I don't know, something I like to explore is like dumb things I've done and figure out how to work off of that. So like I still remember I met with this person. It was like a business related meeting, and I had to take them to the airport, and it was in Chicago, and they were almost late for their plane. Like it was just, and something seemed weird. Like the GPS for some reason was telling me it was going to take like 35 minutes to get there, but it wasn't even that far away. And it took me like 20 minutes to realize that I had the GPS in walking mode and not in driving mode. So like I kept making all these turns that went right into traffic and that were like not helpful at all for driving.
Yeah, I bet.
But it only worked if you were like walking all the way to the airport from where we were. So it was ridiculous. Yeah.
I've done that too, actually, and that it can actually be dangerous because sometimes it'll tell you to like turn right onto a one-way street because you can walk there, right? So you actually got to watch that. So
yeah,
I think I've done that.
That's funny. So yeah, I have a little bit about that, about like my GPS thinking I'm slow, but then it just turning out that I'm in walking mode. But then maybe I am slow anyways. Like playing around with that. But I was just thinking on that. I was trying to think of other like embarrassing stories or things really dumb I've done, and how to work that into some kind of comedic material.
I mean, isn't that what a lot of material is quite literally like, you wouldn't believe it, but I did this, and because it's kind of relatable too. Like, we've all done dumb things. I mean, as soon as you tell me that story, I can think of dozens I've done or dozens I've heard of others doing. Like, I'll just tell you this one because my brain is just saying, mention this. Not my story whatsoever.
Okay.
There's apparently some guy who, I guess he was a drug dealer and had drugs in his car, and he was just not paying attention. He was using his GPS, and his GPS dipped into the States briefly. So he ended up having to go through border control, even though he was just trying to like drive to another city in Canada that was like 20 minutes away. But the GPS was like, oh, this will be a faster route. Just go through the U.S. briefly. So he's in jail. All for relying on that GPS.
I was just talking to somebody about this, not this, but literally today. So I'm from Michigan. I love Detroit sports. And at least 3 times. So if you ever driven around Detroit, it is very easy to accidentally drive into Canada. And once you are on the road, once you are getting close, you cannot turn around. You are forced to go ahead and cross the border. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, I've been stopped at the border just because, well, once I was in somebody else's car, they found one empty vodka bottle that this guy probably had in there from like 3 years before or something, because they never cleaned up their car. And so then like we had to talk, and we were there forever. Like, it was ridiculous. But yeah, it's too easy to accidentally drive into Canada if you're in Detroit.
You got grief for having an empty bottle of alcohol?
Yes. Technically, that's like open container, even though there was nothing in it. Nobody was drinking. Like, we weren't doing anything illegal. And I think eventually they let us go just because they kind of knew it wasn't, open and shut. They weren't going to, it wasn't some massive bust or anything. It was a couple 20-somethings just crossing the border.
Well, and it's funny because you think about how that could play out, though. you're a nice guy and you're nervous, you have a nervous energy, and so they're probably like, this guy's not. He's already nervous. Like he's probably thinking, oh shit, I've got gum in my pocket. Is that food? You know, like that's how my wife travels, right? She's convinced that we're going to get pulled over because of something. And she was talking about this the other day. We right after 9/11, we were traveling from Bermuda back home to Canada, and it was so frantic at that point. Like our daughter was 18 months old, maybe not even a year, and they confiscated her Winnie the Pooh spoon. Like we're talking a spoon for a 1-year-old, right? So we're talking maybe 2.5 inches long, thick plastic handle, so her tiny hands could like grip something, and a spoon. But they confiscated it at the time, and it was obviously just extra, extra. Like if you had any, like, I think they were implying that you could spend an hour on the flight and whittle it down on the floor like a prison guard working with a plastic spoon for a week to turn it into a weapon, right? And that's where we lost the plot.
That's actually more ridiculous than ours. We had a piece of artwork that we bought in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and it's metal, like, and it's square. And so they would not let us on the plane. They said we could use it as a weapon. It's like, what, I'm going to, like whip this thing around. Like it was ours. Like, so we had to like pay to have a check on it. It was like $40 or $50. It was more than the piece. It was probably about the same as the piece of artwork. Like it was ridiculous.
I heard that, sure I read this, but I think Ryan Stiles, remember him from the Drew Carey show and Whose Line Is It?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I think he was flying with Drew Carey or something at the same time. I think the story goes that he put a giant, like a 12-inch dildo in Drew Carey's suitcase, but put like 6-inch nails through it. So it was basically like this club. And so that at the airport, people were like, "What is this?" And it's like Drew Carey, like it's his bag or something. So that is the ultimate prank. Because at that point, it's pretty clear that there's no human being that would be interested in that particular device for it to be in his bag. But
oh gosh, well, somebody somewhere. Yes. Did I tell you that it was like 2 weeks ago? Did I tell you that I ran into Greg Proops at my local coffee shop? So Whose Line Is It Anyway? Actor Greg, he was there because I guess they performed in town. I didn't go to it. I wish I would have, but he was just sitting there eating, and I just walked by, said, have a nice day. And he's like, hey, thanks, you too. Like he was very in the center of the coffee shop, so I don't think he was just trying to hide. But I don't necessarily want to like, hey, want to get a selfie with me or anything, so I just, wish him have a good day and walked on.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, I've seen him live now probably 5 times in Victoria when they bring the show here. Okay. And I'm always impressed by because he would usually MC the show too. Like he would kick it off and sort of warm up the crowd, and then he'd introduce the other guys. And he just, his ability or his so quick to pick up like local knowledge and local vibe.
Oh, okay.
So he probably would have loved to talk to you because he would have been like, hey buddy, tell me a bit about the area. Give me, because I think that's how he gets his recon. So the next time you see him.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, if you're, and he's going to local places and stuff. So
he's not afraid to go out, clearly. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like he's a superstar, but he's very recognizable, right? With the glasses, and he's, I think he's, I suppose if he is, I was about to say, unless you're living on a rock, he's not that huge of a star, but he's definitely stands out.
Yeah, it's been around. Yeah, that show's been around so long, and but nobody else was coming up to him. Whether I don't know if that's because they didn't recognize him or if they just wanted to leave him alone. But I did bother at the same coffee shop. I did bother Jane Lynch once, and I got a picture with her. She noticed that I was like staring at her, and she was like, "Hi," and then I was like, "Would you mind if I had a picture?" And she was very kind. But yeah, I'm gonna try not to bother celebrities at that coffee shop anymore.
That's interesting. Yeah, because like she's got a certain amount of celebrity for sure, and she was probably like, it would be easier to just break the ice for you instead of having this guy sort of being like, "Is that her?" And
and she was in town. People knew she was in town because she did this whole thing about like trying to help young artists at the university. So she went to Illinois State University, which is here in town. And so there was like a big deal about her coming back to help others. Oh, cool. And so, yeah.
She's funny. right?
Yes.
On Arrested Development, she was
Oh yeah, she was Tweak and that stuff. Like she was great, and she didn't. I didn't scare her away because she came back. I didn't bother her any other day, but she was there like 4 or 5 different days. I'm there quite a bit, so yeah, she was there all the time.
Oh, you're so polite. Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Have you had any weird celebrity encounters that you wouldn't get sued for sharing?
Uh, I haven't had many celebrity encounters ever. Um, Funny enough, the one guy that I didn't really know him. It was just like he was standing next to me at the airport. He died 2 days ago. Now that you ask, his name was Mike Bullard. He was like uh, even the title said controversial Canadian comic, but I don't know what the
Oh,
controversy was about. So I'll have to go check him out. But he was a host of a show years ago, and I was in Bermuda at the airport, and he was standing right next to me. So that was about as close as I ever got. And I'm sure I told you about my David Bowie story, right? How close I came to meeting him.
I'm not sure. Remind me.
So I feel like I've told this story so many times, but I lived in Bermuda, and my boss Joe had somehow connected with David Bowie. So this is 1999. So
Okay.
it was the internet boom, and David Bowie was actually really big into the internet. Like he had I think he owned like 10 internet providers, like before it became the
Jeez.
big
Okay.
guys. But it was like more localized.
Okay.
I think he owned like several because he was really believed there was potential with the internet. Who knew, right? so so yeah, Joe went to David Bowie's house to fix his printer. We are a computer consulting company, so and in general we did like really high end enterprise consulting. But
Okay.
if David Bowie asks you to fix his printer, yeah, I'm gonna go to his house and fix his printer. Why not?
Yeah.
So Joe's at his house, and as the story goes, he's fixed the printer. He's in David Bowie's living room, and they're sitting down having a chat. And Iman comes down the stairs, like the supermodel, right? And
Yeah.
she's apparently wearing a men's button-up blue shirt. You're right, but that's all she's wearing.
You're right.
Only the
That's
bottom,
funny.
and only the bottom button was done up, right? So it's basically like an open cape, but just and I guess
Jeez.
my boss is like, and then she's like, "Would you like some eggs?" And my boss is like, "Oh, sure, I'll have some eggs from Supermodel." And so I came this close to. I was actually scheduled to go to their house to give her Microsoft Excel training because
Okay.
um, Bowie was a Mac guy, she was Windows, and so it was Excel for Windows. And back then there was a big difference between them. Anyways, it got canceled just before. I think they had
Oh.
it away somewhere. But I always want to put on my resume, trainer of supermodels, right? Like it was just gonna be like that was gonna be my moment. But that never happened, so I didn't actually meet them. I don't think. I mean, I'm meeting all sorts of cool people lately, but they're in a whole different world, right? So there's celebrities in my world, but certainly,
Yeah.
as far as like public figures like that, no, really, remarkably, no. Not even within close proximity, actually. So,
I got asked if I was okay by Al Gore.
oh yeah, you got asked if you were okay.
Yeah, but
Why?
not because I was like spazzing out or hey man, are you okay? No, like I was a kid. My mom took us. He spoke somewhere. This was before he was vice president, even. Um, and he was coming to shake hands, and we were behind a table, and everybody was rushing forward. So I was like getting crushed against this table, and he like yelled at people to get back, and then I think I was the smallest person like right there, and he just shook my hand, said, "Hey, are you okay?" It was nice.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure that's what he had to do anyways, but he
Yeah.
seemed kind and genuine at the time, at least.
Oh, good. I haven't heard much about Al Gore lately.
No, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
he's just hiding somewhere. I mean, what else do you need to do if you're Al Gore? I mean, why even bring attention to yourself? I don't think you have much to gain.
Yeah, no, I imagine retirement speaking events, that kind of stuff. Hmm. That's interesting because like Tipper Gore, his wife was like she was a big part of the whole explicit lyrics movement, and way back when, right? And so
Okay, I
that,
could I remember her name from something. I didn't know it was. I didn't remember that it was because of that.
yeah, no, she was the one sort of fighting for it's the devil's music and all the explicit stuff. But was listening to something the other day, and that really backfired because that actually increased sales of those things, like to the point where artists want that sticker, like it's a badge of credibility for your album instead of.
Yes, I literally have one. It's actually a Canadian group, but there is one swear word on the whole album, and so it's parental advisor. It's like really you didn't need that one f bomb, and I don't think there's any shits or asses or anything else. It's all just like very mild stuff, except one time in the whole album.
I'm
I feel like they just did that on purpose so they can have the
gonna
sticker.
go 12 to 14 songs and avoid that, and then throw that in there.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're reaching for the label. You're trying to be clean. You're hoping no one gets to that track. So fascinating.
Name of that group is Chromeo. I don't know if you've heard of them or not, but they're a
Oh, I love
Canadian.
Chromeo.
Oh, I love Chromeo too. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and almost nobody does here. One time they played 3 songs in a row at a coffee shop. I had to go up and ask, like, who here is the Chromeo fan? And then had to talk to her for a second because I never find Chromeo stuff around here. But yeah,
Cool.
they're touring a little bit. I would love to see them live, but I've liked them for like 15 years.
Oh.
Never meet anybody else who likes them here. Nobody's heard of them, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I only became familiar with them about 4 years ago. My friend Armin turned me on to them. He's a keyboard player, so naturally that's like it's kind
Oh
of
yeah,
keyboard players that do multi instrument. But yeah,
okay.
I love that song "Hot Mess." Like it's just that's a
a
banger.
good one.
Yeah,
There's so many good ones. Yeah, Fancy Footwork and Mama's Boy, and there's a lot of good ones.
they were on live at Daryl's house once too. Like Daryl Hall did this whole series.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that.
I checked it on YouTube because it's basically just has like a jam with people like Kenny Loggins or Joe Walsh, but I'm pretty sure he had Chromeo on, which
Okay.
wasn't an artist I was expecting on there because his stuff was more sort of rock and R&B. But the one guy had the tube he blows into and does all his keyboard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was good. Yeah, check that out.
Okay, that's cool.
So it's probably been 6 weeks since we've actually done this, I think.
Probably. We caught up last week, but we didn't stream.
Yeah. So the last time we talked, you were talking about doing a show, and then I pointed out that it seemed like you were trying to give your spot to somebody else by inviting them. Where have you landed with that show? So
not I don't even remember what that one is. There's a weekly open mic started 2 or 3 weeks ago. I still haven't made it out to that just because life has been so crazy. But trying to get back in the habit and I would love to do that weekly. But there is a local open mic in town. And then there's I think I know what we're talking about. In February there's a show. It's called a Funny Razor that they're having here. And I have a chance to do that one. I haven't followed up with them yet, but that would be a bigger show. But people that don't usually go to comedy shows, so then you have to kind of decide how you want to do your material.
Mm-hmm. So are you flip-flopping on that show, or you're gonna do it?
I don't know. It's a good question. If I'm back in rhythm, if I don't do a show until then probably not. Just because the anxiety gets too high. Like when you're back, but if you're back in the rhythm and you're regularly going up, it's feels really easy, feels really natural. But when I go a month plus without going up on stage, I don't know, nerves kick in. You forget you don't have the same like cadence and rhythm and memory and all that. Just it makes it really hard. There's other things I could pick up, 4 or 5 years after doing it last, like other activities, but stand up just isn't one.
So what about this weekly thing? Are you gonna start doing that to build that cadence, or?
I want to. It's all about just being intentional and making it happen regardless of how I feel an hour before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've kind of had to get back to scheduling my life because I was living a little too much in the moment, that I end up with no routine, no rhythm. So I'm trying to find that balance where I'm like trying to be in flow, trying to enjoy what I'm doing, but also being like, if I don't do what I'm doing, I'll lose that edge. So like I've been going to a jam every Sunday, and every Sunday I kind of just decide if I'm going to go, and like I've now put it in my calendar. Like the next 4 months, I'm going. I'm just going on Sundays,
Okay.
unless it's canceled. I'm going. It's in my calendar. It's blocked because every time I go, I have a great time. Every time I feel like I've gotten rid of some jitters that performing live. I haven't done that in quite a while, so it's nice to
Okay.
just throw myself out there and play with a bunch of people and not have a plan. It's definitely. I mean, it's R&B and blues, so it's not like I just for drums. I just get to lay down a some basic stuff, but there is something about the nerves and just keeping it like just getting used to that feeling of like, oh yeah, people are watching. I need to pay attention. So
Has it? How? When was the last time you performed live?
outside of the jams, which would have been Sunday, I did a show 2 months ago with that Bowie tribute thing.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't, yeah, I haven't. Besides drumming away to myself and these jams, I haven't played in a while. I definitely want to get out there, so I need to create the vehicle excuse. So actually, that's something I wouldn't mind talking about. I was thinking about asking you about this today. Maybe you can help me
Yeah.
um, riff on this thing.
Okay.
I created a concept with my friends years ago called Rockstar Nights, and I probably told you about it, which was live band music bingo. We did it during COVID because it allowed us to we could stream it, and it was like a game you could play with people, and yet we could still play music, and
Okay.
that was fine. And then we did it for a year at a hotel here in Victoria, um, and even during like sort of the heavy uh, mask phase, we still had lots of people out. So it was something that people enjoyed. Like it's the evidence to me seemed to be that even when people didn't want to go out, they would come out to our thing. And we were just starting to fill the place up. And then the hotel pulled the rug out from underneath us. They didn't live up to any part of the arrangement we had whatsoever. Like I
Okay.
lost money, I lost energy, I lost enthusiasm. I just felt taken advantage of. And it's a year and a half later, I'm still angry, a little bit simmery about it. But we created this cool thing, and so it's live band music bingo, which is the idea that like you're going to come and see a band play a whole bunch of tunes, 20 to 30 seconds, 40 seconds a song. You're going to play a
Okay.
game. You're going to win prizes, and you can go up and do karaoke with the band as well.
Ooh.
So, like,
Okay.
karaoke with a live band is a cool concept.
It
I've
is.
actually run it as an entire show before, and that's exhausting because you have to learn a huge catalog of songs.
Oh
But
gosh. Yeah.
30 seconds of a song is not a big deal, right?
Okay.
And I mean the reason I came up with the concept is I don't really like playing other people's music. I want to do my own, except I'm not a songwriter, right? I would love to be in a collaborative unit where I'm just getting to drum and listen and deliver my my feel to it. But if I'm going to do covers, at least I want it to be random and chaotic. So when you do music bingo, we'll do like 180 songs in a night because they're all short. So I want to bring this concept back, but I'm a little wounded by the previous experience,
Okay.
um, and as well, I'm not sure if I want to go back and doing covers. So like, I'm not even sure if this is the right vehicle for me. The reason I'm asking you about it is there is definitely it's still fun for me because there's an entertainment piece to it. It's not like a band on stage playing and everyone's in the crowd. Like it's interactive, right? You're
Okay.
actually kind of more like a piano bar theme where you're singing along with the dude at the piano, except you're doing it with a band, and we're engaging with the crowd. And there's so many ways that I can add more fun to it. Like we did a night with a hypnotist, and now that I could do hypnosis, I've been tempted to do the same thing, like do a little hypnosis set beforehand,
Okay.
plant suggestions, and then while people are just playing music, dancing, play music bingo, and a couple people just happen to get out of their seats and start responding because I planted the suggestion that, if you hear the song Jump by Van Halen, this guy here will start jumping up and down, or, there's just so many
Okay.
fun elements. Um, that's a long ramble for like, that's a
Hi.
concept I think I want to bring back, but I'm not sure if I've got the energy for it. So, but maybe you can talk it through with me. I appreciate any questions you might have.
Yeah. So okay. So what are you thinking about doing? Like, how would you structure this?
What I did before, I think is well. See, I have big ideas for it too. In town, it's a Thursday night, every Thursday night, because it's not you're not going to see a band perform. You're going to have a night that you'd otherwise go to a venue for entertainment. So it is the concept is live band music bingo with karaoke and whatever
Okay.
else. It's almost like a musical variety night. Like the intention is fun, but you need to build an audience. It needs a cadence to it. Like that's why I always like every Thursday at 8 o'clock that at this place and because you start to it's a new concept. It's kind of foreign to people at first, right? The first couple of times we did it at a bar, there'd be 20 people that loved it, and one guy in the back that's like, "Why don't you finish any fucking songs?" Because right, like he was just confused. He didn't understand that, like, if we played every song to the end, we'd be there till 2 in the morning, right? So the whole thing, like, you have to kind of teach people what it is. You kind of have to deliver it. I would love to take it one day to the point where it's like I take it on tour. Like I think it'd be you could play on cruise ships, you could play at resorts. I kind of always thought it'd be like the Cirque du Soleil of the bar circuit. Like you've got your home base Thursday nights, and every Thursday I know that there's a standing gig for me to play at.
Yeah.
But I would love to take that vehicle and my friends that I'm doing it with on the road with me as well, and go and like use it as a vehicle to travel and stuff. Right. So it's something that still feel is a great idea, but I wonder if it's actually what I want. So I struggle with like, is it just a good idea? And so that's where I'm at.
What makes you think you wouldn't? I mean, it sounds like you want it. What part of you wouldn't want it, or why wouldn't you want it?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think it's really important that the people I'm playing with, because it kind of requires a band to do it. I mean, there is an option where it's just me on drums playing along the tracks, but I don't know if that's interesting enough. From an economical standpoint and scheduling, it'd be far easier to do it as a one man show because I don't have to coordinate anything with anyone. It's just like, do I feel like doing this?
Okay.
But with a band, I've got some really good friends that I've done this with, but they've never had the same energy for it that I did. So I always
Okay.
felt like I was kind of dragging them through it. They would have a good time, but for the most part, it just seemed like people were moaning about stuff. So I didn't enjoy running it. I liked creating it. Operating it is a thankless job.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that part makes a lot of sense. And I think that's where it gets complicated, finding people that are, you know, in the same stratosphere of being excited about it and interested in it that you are. That would be tough. It would be interesting as a solo act. Like I'm sure there's a lot of ways you could play off of that and make it really, funny or interesting. Um, I don't know. When you said that person, yeah, said you guys couldn't finish any songs. I just made me think of like playing on that for names for that specific band, like the non-finishers or we can't finish or something.
Well, we call it. Yeah, we described it as playing musical blue balls.
Okay. Yep.
So
That works.
yeah, that's the theme for sure.
That
Um,
works.
yeah, I mean there are drummers out there that there's one guy that he just goes and plays at a local club. I've never actually gone to see him, but I've seen his YouTube stuff. But you just go and watch him drum, and he plays along the tracks. And
Okay.
because he's highly athletic, like it's entertaining to watch him. Like he's really giving her. You know what I mean? Like every song was a workout. It wasn't just watching him play ballads. It was like he was giving her. Um, I do wonder if that'd be interesting for people to watch. I'm so used to the drummer being in the background. The drum set's always in the back.
Yeah.
Often it's not even on a riser, like you're just an afterthought. And I know the importance of my job back there. Like I hit with authority, I take control, but I'm still just always in the background, which seems to be the role I play best, I guess. So I have a hard time imagining myself like being in the foreground. Um, Bit of comfort around that, but I think it's also just it actually is so not the norm anymore. Like back in the 30s, the drummer was in the front. the big bands, the drums were front and
Okay.
center, right? And then something happened, and probably Ringo's fault. Even though he's one of my favorite drummers for all of his parts, he was
I
so he was so casual. He just got pushed to the back.
I can't do Ringo. Like
No.
my my oldest, their favorite station on Sirius was Beatles, and like every third song was just a Ringo song because he put out so much music, and so
Mm.
I just couldn't take it. I don't know, like the way he sings is just all kind of laid back, and he doesn't sound that excited about things, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just can't do his music. Like his solo music, I'm fine with listening to tracks that he's a drummer on. I'm not, my ear isn't trained enough with drumming to know if it's good or not. But just him singing, I don't know. I can't do.
Yeah, he's an interesting egg. I have kind of been observing him a lot again lately. Like I've always followed Ringo. My mom was a big Beatles fan, and
Okay.
but
Peace and love.
yeah, like he's kind of just been riding life the whole time and been this nice guy that you know what I mean. Like he's just there, but his parts are actually very famous for their simplicity and for the fact that he's left-handed but playing on a right-handed drum set. So like
Oh,
so he
yeah, I
has
didn't know
and
that.
his fills are very quirky because he'll lead with his left hand on a right-handed drum set. So it just sounds different. So
Okay.
so yeah, it's he's an odd animal. He's onto something. Like this peace and love thing is what we need right now. He's been the one guy that's maintained that course for 50 years. So,
Yep. I used to listen to a radio station. They kept playing the sound drop of him when he said he wouldn't sign anything anymore, and he's just like, "Stop sending me things to sign. I won't do it anymore. Peace and love, peace and love." It's like he was so upset, but then so peace and love.
hmm. No, I didn't know that one. I mean, yeah, it's a whole interesting thing, right? You're signing these things, but it's so that other people can then go sell your signature and
Oh
they make money.
yes.
So
Oh
it's
yeah. I don't blame anyone
strange.
any bit for not doing that. That's like a burden having to getting constantly asked and being forced to turn somebody down or do something that you weren't intending to do like every day. I mean, no thanks.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny how we come back full circle to celebrity. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay, hey, we call back. See, comedy.
Yeah, interesting.
Call
So,
back.
yeah, it's funny. I'm sitting on this idea, and I've been sitting on it for a long time, and it's kind of like a piss or get off the pot kind of thing. Like, do I just put is that project over for me, or is it time to double down? And I find myself unable to answer that question for myself. So,
Okay, and I think it's really cool. As far as like building an audience, I don't know if there's a way you could do it where, I mean, you can't really turn it into like a podcast. If it was like an internet live show and then it got interest, and then you'd also have like bars or clubs being interested in bringing it, showing the following and saying, look, this is, people are tuning in, and we'll be able to put butts in the seats because they already have probably heard about this. If there's a way you can prove the concept first, but it'd be hard. I mean, how do you do, you know, karaoke or the bingo um, virtually? That would probably be hard to pull
well,
off.
we did for a year during COVID, but it really was soul sucking. Like that was half the fun is that we had to come up with all sorts of sound effects so that when a song ended, it wasn't dead air. So
Okay.
that's so that we had a lot of fun with it because we turned it kind of into a game show, like it
Okay.
was kind of a game show. So that's the cool part about it is that part works. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's funny. I'm at a point creatively where it's like, is that creative idea done for me, and I didn't need just to move on, or do I need to tweak it? Um,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of different directions it could go in. Here, I did it once where it was comedy slash karaoke, where you did like 3-4 minutes of stand-up comedy, and then you did a karaoke song. You had to pick it, and the like overall winner judged on by a panel of judges that would also make jokes and stuff won like a really dumb award. But it was a cool thing. It was very entertaining. I enjoyed being part of it. It was a lot of fun. Wasn't like a huge audience or anything, but it was cool.
Was that a concept you came up with, or you were
No,
helping
no,
oversee? No.
no. Somebody local, but yeah, not me.
Yeah, it's. I'm. I mean, I don't go out a lot, but it does seem like people are hungry to be entertained these days in unique ways because everything else is kind of predictable. And if they're not binge watching Netflix at home, they need to get out and do something else. And it's got to be unique because people get bored very quickly these days. So
Yes, we have so many options. Yeah, people get tired of things, even if they enjoy it. They get tired of things pretty easily.
mhm.
And I think a lot of it's like you just think of how social media impacts things. People want to be able to share something unique and different or an experience. But yeah, things like karaoke or trivia, people like sharing um, stuff like that. And if you're traveling to different places and stuff, then I think it definitely, if it's at the same place every week for several years, it might be hard. I mean, you'll get, some diehards that come all the time, but
Yeah, we were building a following. Like it wasn't having trouble getting people out. It was actually just starting to take off when the bar screwed me over. And really, it was a personal thing. The manager there didn't like that I called him out on his bullshit because he was being quite narcissistic and brutal for a bit. And
okay,
stood up for myself, and that was it. We were gone. The owner didn't back me up, despite me making him a lot of money. But
okay, that
yeah, it's
stinks.
one of those things. It's kind of like personal as well, which is
Okay.
frustrating. But
But yeah, I hosted trivia for like, I don't know, a year and a half, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, eventually it was hard. It was a lot of work for very little money, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Um,
yeah, well, that's why we got the Music Bingo platform. Is it's kind of like trivia, except you don't really need to be a wizard, and it's quick and painless for the host. So yeah, yeah, still happy to be doing that a bit, but weird, man. I don't know. It's like stuck energy. But I appreciate the questions. Actually,
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of ways you could go with it. I mean, I don't know. You could always try it with just the drums.
yeah, like
It
live.
would be interesting. The only other thing I was thinking is like if you and I'm sure you wouldn't want other people touching your drums, but that would be interesting. Seeing somebody else trying to play the drum track to a song. Like I've never seen drum karaoke. Like you'd get some people out there who could really play drums good. You get some people out that drumming is something that people think is easy if they haven't tried it. So you'd get people that, as long as you could make sure you protected your drums and there wasn't going to be a hole that would like, kick a hole in your bass drum or something, that would be cool. Like if
Mm,
I was close to a place that had that, I'd go to check it out. I mean, I've never heard of like drum karaoke, that'd be kind of cool.
yeah. Uh, hmm. That's an interesting idea. Like watching good drummers play for sure. Watching people struggle, it will kill a song dead because it's
And
just
maybe that's why it's 30 to 45 seconds. You're not doing Bohemian Rhapsody or Hey Jude out there for the whole thing where it's like 8 minutes long.
that's interesting. Hmm. I'll have to
Uh,
look at that.
and the only other, I watched them recently. I'm not sure if you've ever seen these, but where there's like a professional drummer, there's this female, I think she's like a prodigy. She's very young drummer. I mean, unbelievable. And her team will like play a song for her, sometimes like heavy metal or something that she's never heard. And then so she'll hear it like once and then do her own, like how she would approach the drums on the song. It's very cool.
Yeah, Drumeo, a YouTube channel I watch, they do that, and they
Okay.
bring like big name drummers on to hear another drummer's track and do like they call them drummerless tracks.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I'm fairly quick at picking things up. Like it wouldn't be playing the part exactly, but like that I just don't know how interesting that would be to watch, but maybe it would. Like, what if it was like I literally didn't know what the song was next. So it's not a rehearsed performance. It's quite literally like, oh shit, here we go, playing this song. So
See, and then you do the two most entertaining people or the two best drummers. You could decide at the end of the night, then get to do like a drum off. They each get 30 seconds, and then the audience votes who wins and gets the prize.
oh yeah, or yeah, like a show with two drummers. The interplay with that could be interesting because they
Um,
actually have a couple of there's a bar in Calgary. Can't remember what it's called, but they have dueling pianos.
yes,
So,
I've been to one. It was a lot of fun.
hmm,
But there's some around here, like, well, yeah, different. I think the one I went to was in Dallas, but I know here in Illinois there's a couple. I think I went to one once, but I can't really remember.
hmm. Dueling drummers. I wonder if that would be interesting as dueling drummers live music karaoke bingo.
Well, it doesn't have to be dueling. I just mean like a duel where they take turns, like it's still one after another.
Yeah.
Um, they don't
Hmm.
have to be at the same time, but that would be interesting. That's a whole different
Yeah.
thing than I was thinking.
Interesting.
But just audience and engagement and not having to have a whole a whole band necessarily. That's all excited to be there.
Hmm.
I'd check it out. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. I've been sitting with that for far too long, so I have to work that one out. Hmm. Um, how are you doing for time? We're usually clocking around 45 minutes. Just want to make sure you're good.
Yeah, I'm all right for you. I mean, you want to take like 5 more minutes?
Sure. Yeah. So, hmm.
Have you
So
thought any more about doing stand up, or did you have another? I didn't mean to cut you off if you had something else you wanted to ask.
I've not thought about doing stand up, and I do feel like what I'm morphing to is I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, and I know it involves an entertainment piece. I know I want to be playful. So when I think of stand up, I think of it more like as part of being like an MC or a ringmaster. You know what I mean? Like my own little Willy Wonka circus thing, and I'm the MC. So it is stand up. It's just not stand up in the traditional sense of I'm delivering comedy, and when I'm done, I walk away. It'd be more like funny material that interacted with whatever other piece I'm doing.
Okay.
So I think that is where things are definitely mutating for me. I think that was probably true even when we first started this. Is that's probably always been my intent. And then I was thinking, oh, maybe I should just try straight stand up because it would make me uncomfortable, which is still worthwhile doing, right? Actually pushing through that discomfort and seeing if I can do it. But I don't know if that's where my energy's flowing at the moment for that. So it's more
Okay.
about bits and I mean coming back to like where you started, like you're talking about embarrassing moments. Like that is I could probably do a show just about everything embarrassing or dumb I've ever done or the dumb ideas I've had, right? Um, but yeah, I think that's great basis for material.
What?
Um,
Just dumb mistakes?
yeah, just I mean experiential life, right? So um, yeah. So like what have you done? I mean, we've all done dumb things. I probably do dumb things every day. But is there something in particular that's just like, yeah, that was dumb?
Oh, with me, it's usually like the little things, like the little social nuances, things I don't pick up on. Like when I was on my first date at a play, and she said that she was cold, so I told her to put her coat back on.
Oh, is
And
that
then her friends, I didn't
advice?
realize. It seemed logical to me. I'm like, put your coat back on. Like if you're cold, why wouldn't you? You took your coat off, put it on. Like, and then her friends the next day made fun of me and stuff, and I had no clue. Like it did not cross my mind at all. So a lot of my dumb things are like that. Well, I also was sharing the other day when I first got my license. Like I didn't know the first thing about cars at all, and so I drove to a college football game, and the car started smoking, and so we had to pull off. We went to the mechanic. He looked over for maybe like a minute and a half and came out and said there's no oil in it. was like, what do you mean? He's like, there's no oil. And I was like, you have to put oil in it?
Well, I think we've all done that one.
Okay, well, I'm glad I'm not. Well, because I literally didn't know you needed to put oil in your car. Like I didn't know. Nobody told me in all our driver's training and stuff. You would think they would talk about, the basic essential car care needed to, operate a car.
I think that's what the oil light is for on the dash. But was this pre having that on the dash?
Oh, well, any car that I had it was a 1985 Subaru station wagon that was a previous driver's training car. So there was a non-functioning steering wheel on the passenger side as well, and a brake in the passenger side. So this car had so many problems. Eventually, I had to get rid of it because the entire brake line rusted. But
How
it
is that
was
car even
interesting.
legal?
What's that?
How would that car even be legal to be allowed on the road?
Because
Because
they had to disconnect that function, but it
oh,
was
so it wasn't a working brake anymore. It just had the brake.
correct. The
Oh,
brake
okay.
pedal and the steering wheel were still on both sides.
That's funny. Yeah, you wouldn't want that car to just be out in the wild. Some drunken friend slamming on the brake.
Oh, my brother 100% would have done it. I would drive him places, and at the stoplight, he would like slip it into neutral.
Mm.
That one was automatic, but he put it in neutral without me realizing, and then it turned green, and that just would go nowhere, and he would start laughing, and then I'd realize what happened.
Your first story, I'm still circling back to. So you got teased for saying something really common sense, but it was probably because I'm assuming at the time the girl was hoping you'd offer her your jacket, right?
Or hold her hand, put my arm around her, anything other than tell her to put her coat back.
Yeah, I was very naive with girls when I was younger. I just was so shy, like so painfully shy that I never got any of the hints. But I look back, I'm like, oh, whoops. So
Yeah, I'm just bad with. I need the black and white. I don't pick up the little
yeah,
social cues that most people would.
tell me what you need.
Yes, just say it. Say, hey, can I hold your hand or grab my hand or something like.
Yeah,
But I understand why that's not appropriate for most people either. But I would prefer it. Help me.
that's funny. Like, yeah, people are dating, and women are
Oh
complicated.
gosh, dating was a nightmare. I met my wife on Match.com online, which I was on there for like 4 years. I went on 2 dates total, and after I went on the date, the first time I met Eric, I knew like, yeah, that's the person I'm going to marry.
Hmm, that's sweet.
But the other person, yeah, was not that I went on a date from online. I mean, online dating is any kind of dating was, yeah,
Yeah,
anxious
I'm
mess.
so far removed from it. Like Wendy and I've been together 31 years, but I hear these horror stories of people like, and just like, it's just bizarre to me. Like I couldn't imagine trying to use something like Tinder and find a mate. It's just so
Yeah,
gross. Like, but I talked to some guys about it, and it's like that's the only option. It's like, really? My wife and I met each other at work, like, and we were both not interested in getting involved because we had just broken up with other people, which ended up being perfect because we just ended up becoming friends first.
okay,
And just thought she was cute, and then I just started being me, which was playing pranks on her. Like we used to work in a paint store, and she was in reception. I was the warehouse guy.
okay.
Time she would get up to like go get a coffee, they had all these certificates on the wall like framed, and I would like make them all slightly off center. And I got away with that for a few months. Apparently, it was endearing. So,
Okay.
so I'm
That's
very tactical and nuanced is my dating style. So,
See, if I would have done that, like one of the pictures would have like fell and hit her in the head or something with my luck. Oh, and then that same girl, poor thing. So this is an embarrassing story. So we agreed that we were gonna kiss. I had never kissed before, and I'm a teenage boy, so thought about this forever. I watched all the movies and everything and stuff, and so she's, we're gonna go in for a kiss, and I'm thinking of the kisses that I'm seeing in movies, and so basically, she puckered up, I licked her lips, and I felt so stupid. Like, yeah, I was going in for one. I wasn't going in for a peck, but she was. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's a story to tell. Those are the good.
yeah,
That's the best part. So. Hmm.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. You're about out of time here, right?
I think this would be good.
Okay, man. Well, let's. I know in our let's wrap this up and then just hang out after here, and we'll catch up for a second.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. That was fun today.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll hit that thing.